Hello there, I'm Jen Houston, owner of the Artsy Fartsy Gallery here in Canada. I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today is going to be just kind of a finish up day for me, and I had some extra card kits that I had lingering around, all using vellum, and I thought, why not do a little episode on 4 ways to use vellum. So let's get rolling. Our first card, let's see here, I grab it from over here, is this one, and it's a simple layout. And the way I used vellum on this one was by adding some little sprigs, just a little something that we're going to pop out from the label. And so the colors that I'm using today are Highland Heather, and this is Sahara Sand. So this paper is cut at 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and then it's scored at 4 1/4. And if you fold it in half, it makes kind of like a little book here. So first step, I have some designer series paper, or otherwise known as pattern paper here. And what I did was I scored it on one edge, a 1/2 inch, one of the long edges. And so all I'm going to do is just fold this over. And of course, Stampin' Up! Paper is double-sided and it always coordinates, so choices. So here's this pattern, or of course you could flip it this way and have your flowers facing kind of the little hidden gem amongst the stitching on the Highland Heather. So I think I have done this before and I really liked it. So I think this version I'm going to do it this way, just for something different. So I'm going to take my snail, which is my adhesive, and just glue it down like that. So it's kind of like a flap, and it makes like a little layer or a little border almost, which is always nice. And then I'm just going to put my snail tape on the back of it and glue it onto my card base. So I'm just going to place it kind of close to the bottom there. All right, next step, I have this little piece that I cut out with one of my framelits, and I'm going to stamp. I'm going to make a birthday card. In Highland Heather, they say it's your birthday. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp on there. There we are, and I'm just going to wipe my stamp off on the Simply Chamois. It looks absolutely disgusting, but I guarantee you it is clean. Watch, nothing left. Pretty amazing. So it's a chamois like other chamois, but it doesn't leave any kind of residue fibers. It's a nice and clean chamois, and yeah, all you do is just wet it, and it's a great way to clean off your stamps. Okay, they say it's your birthday. Now, since this is Sahara Sand on Sahara Sand, I want something to kind of distinguish between the two. So I'm going to use my Sahara Sand ink and a little dauber. This dauber's just got a little foam bit on the end. This is my brown one. So I'm just going to dab it on there and just kind of wipe a little bit around the outsides. And that'll just help it pop a little bit when it's against its own color. Of course, you could do this with other colors too. You could even do it with the Highland Heather, just to kind of pronounce that color a little bit. I think that looks good. Okay, now those little sprig pieces, I'm going to glue behind this label. So I'm just going to put some snail on the back of the label and place the little sprig behind there, just randomly, where I think it might look cute. Just like that. And so it adds a little something hidden there, but it just, you know, it isn't bold and brazen, of course. Oh, Breezer. No. My dogs. They always compete for the same bone, of course, and so they have many, but of course they have to have the same one that the other one is eating. Oh dear, so he's going to start to cry and whine because his brother has the, you know, the bone he wants. Now this is a little petal pink ribbon, silver ribbon. I guess it's baker's twine, that's what they call it. And I just thought I'd stick that on there as a little something. And now I'm going to pop this label up because it is important, using these dimensionals. And they're double-sided, sticky. And they're just like little foam dots to raise it up. All right. By the way, I used a glue dot to glue this baker's twine down. All right, I'm going to place that over there like that. And then since this is all kind of open there, I want to use some buttons. I think it's called True Gentleman buttons. They kind of look like wood grain a little bit. Breeze or honey? No, thank you. I know your brother has your bone. So I'm just going to place one up there. And the little one, how about over here? Just to add a little bit of interest. And there we have it. One way to use your vellum. Actually, what I was going to do was stamp the inside of my card. I like to add a piece of Whisper White cardstock to the center. Just, I don't know, it finishes off the card, makes it look complete. And I did want to add, let's celebrate you. Let's use that Highland Heather. There, looking good. All right, card number 1 is complete. Now let me show you another way that you can use the vellum. I'll just clean this up a little bit so we don't get a big pile everywhere. Okay, card number 2. Now I'm going to show you 2 different versions that I have already made using this layout idea. Of course, one's very subtle. I'm using it as a with love and sympathy. I thought it would be appropriate for that. And this one, time to celebrate, because it's really bold and bright. My third one, design, I'm going to use the oranges. However, I'm going to add some blue, and we'll see what that kind of looks like. So the way I used the vellum here was just kind of overlapping other pieces. It just kind of mutes it a little bit, makes it a little bit more airy kind of looking. So let's get this card kit out. And I think my first step is going to be to color that butterfly. So I've gotten my Stampin' Blend markers, and what's great about these is that they are alcohol based, and so they dry really quickly and they're permanent. And they also kind of blend with each other. When you add another color, it kind of meshes with the previous color. So there's a light version and a dark version. Each marker has a bullet tip and kind of a painting tip. I always prefer the bullet tip. I don't know, I think I have a lot more control. So I'm going to start with the light version of the Calypso Coral. Let's go there, then I'll try a little piece here. Just kind of fill in some of those patterns that I see. Oh, honey. I know, Breezer. It's a tough life, isn't it, when your brother has your bone? Yeah. My goodness. You know there's more bones on the floor, right? Is there more bones on the floor? Now I'm going to go back with the dark version and just kind of where there might be shadows, so probably closer to the butterfly. It is also shaded kind of where there would be shadows, which helps a lot. So just if you kind of go over top of those bits with the darker version, that kind of gives you a guide. Then you want to go back with the light version and just kind of blend it, hence the term Stampin' Blends. So it's not such a stark contrast between the light and the dark. There we go. And now I'm going to add some blue. This is Night of Navy. I'm going to use the light version, which is pretty dark to begin with. But I think it'll look very nice because orange and blue are on opposite sides of the color wheel. So the two of them together make each other pop. There. I'm going to go in with the dark version and just kind of add a few little strips, kind of where the little creases are. Where there might be some shadows, and then I'm just going to go back in and soften that a little bit. There. Just adds a little bit of light and dark. Okay, I'm going to go on to this side with the light. Oh, Breezer. Are you having a rough day? It's hard being a dog, hey? When you have to share your bones. That's no fun. Okay. And I'll just go back in with the light. Blend that out a little. Looks good. Now with the little scissors, I'm just going to trim around it. So I'm just going to bubble cut, which means I'm leaving a little bit of white around the outside, mostly because I'm lazy. Some people like to cut right onto the black line. I think this is a lot more forgiving for sure. Plus, yes, when you get to the antennae, if you are cutting on the black line, that makes it pretty tricky. Oh my Lanta. Mr. Kevin. Guess my husband's not going to answer. He must have his headphones on. He works from home as well. So he's in his office and he works on the phone and on the computer. Or he's just ignoring him. Which I'm having a hard time doing. Almost done. Plus, when you leave a little bit of white, it almost adds like a little halo effect. I find makes it look kind of fun. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside for a minute and go to my card base, which is here. And it's just Whisper White. Once again, it's cut at 8.5 by 5.5 inches and then scored at 4 1/4 inches. Squished like a book And I'm going to add this piece of Calypso Coral. I don't know if you can see, but I used the stitched framelits. So they're metal pieces that you run through a big shot and it squishes the pattern or cuts a pattern onto your paper, which is really kind of fun. Oop, let's move this for a minute. I think it should be okay. And the fun of this card is that I purposely make these layers crooked. So you don't have to worry about whether or not, you know, everything's exactly straight. So there we go. You could also tilt it that way. Nobody's going to know, right? Okay, for the vellum piece, this is also used with the little stitched framelits. I think you can see there. And the trick with vellum is that you often are able to see what's underneath it, right? So you want to use something that isn't too pronounced, or place it somewhere where it's going to be covered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the glue dots right to the corner, just the 4 corners. That way we're going to hide it with something. Okay, and one more after this. There, and that's all it needs. Now I'm going to twist this one the other direction, just to, you know, make it look very whimsy. And as you can see, it does show through. So that's kind of something with vellum you want to kind of pay attention to. You have to think about it a little bit before when you're working with it. All right, so I'm using the Gingham Gala paper here. And what's fun about it is it's double-sided. This one's got bigger checks. This one has the little ones. I think I'm going to use the little version this time. And I'm just going to place this circle kind of in the corner, like that. Now for the sentiment, what I was kind of wanting, because I'm needing some cards that, you know, I've got a lot of people in my life right now who are going through tough times. And so I have this set called Itty Bitty Greetings. And there's Sending Prayers. Okay, Sending Prayers is quite crooked, so the magic of paper. You can flip it over. I'm just going to lean in a little. The magic of crooked again. Let's see. I do have another scrap piece over here. How about we give this one a try? Now I'm going to stamp it. Oh yeah, the whole stamp is crooked on my block. So let's kind of fix that a little bit. And I'm going to practice on my grid paper. Now if I'm straight, my block is straight with the line, the prayers bit is up too high. So I'm going to move that down just a tad. Let's try again. I'm going to line up my block with the line on the grid paper, and that's looking much better. Okay, let's go for it. So I'm going to line up my paper with a square or a line on the grid paper and kind of straighten the block and stamp. And it's important with these little stamps not to rock. Sometimes you can get kind of a halo effect, which you don't want. So I'm using Night of Navy for that little saying. Let's just get rid of this and nobody will know what happened. Now I have some dimensionals that I would like to put on the back of this. Let's pop up that saying. Okay, and I'm just going to place it where it kind of looks right. Because the papers are really wonky here, just place it where you think it makes sense. It's kind of deceiving to the eye a little bit. All right, now we have our butterfly, and I have some ribbon. Calypso coral ribbon, I'm just going to fold it in half and trim both edges at the same time. That way it's going to look exactly the same. I'm also going to cut the, ooh, those are bad scissors right now. Cut that in half. That way it won't cause bulk underneath the butterfly. Let's add some snail to the, ooh, look at that. It does bleed through those Stampin' Blends, so you have to be aware of that for sure. So I'm just going to put this ribbon where I think it fits. I'm going to actually trim this one a little bit so it's not quite so long. There. And where should I put it? I kind of like it on top of the part of the saying. I think so. Yeah. So I'm going to use dimensionals on it as well. I found a dimensional back in the bathroom today. They tend to get everywhere. One day I look over at my little dog and here he has one right on the end of his nose. It was quite cute. So I'm just going to kind of place it there. I think I like that. Now I need my pearls, which I put where? Got out a new package. Gotta love when you put something somewhere and you lose it. Is that a sign of having too much? Well, I'm going to need to grab another batch then. Diamonds. Diamonds are good too. So then, let's see. Opened, but I'll just go with these. Okay. Enough wasted time, right? You ever lose things? Or is it just me? Oh, one fell out. Must want to be there. But we're going to move it. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, which has a little bit of like sticky tack on the end of it, and it works great for these kind of items. So as you can see, I'm going to use the larger size. I'm going to place it over top of that glue dot so that you can't see it anymore. And one more big one. There we go. Voila. I think it needs some right there. Let's use some smaller size. And here's a rolling one. Let's use it up. There. So there you go. I was planning to use pearls, but this works just as well. So there's the little diamonds to cover up the glue dots on that vellum. All right, let's go on to the next card. And I'm sure I'll find my, pearls. Okay. So So for this one, I actually have patterned vellum, which is really pretty. So I had made this card before, and it was for the bride, so I thought for a bridal shower, congratulations, may the rest of your lives be the best of your lives. So I thought that could be used as a bridal shower gift. And this pattern vellum, same layout. Know that love, prayers, and caring surround you today. Get well, sending healing thoughts your way. So both, you know, same layout, both pattern vellum. Now pattern vellum is much more forgiving than the clear or the, you know, the regular vellum is. So that's just a thought. All right, once again, I've got my Whisper White card base here, 8.5 by 5.5, and folded in half. So one side of the vellum's a little brighter than the other. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of snail on each corner. Snail is kind of blue. I'm going to put 2 big strips in the middle because I know that I'm going to be covering that over with the white piece in the center. Okay. Once again, if you do, like, there is a little bit of blue showing, so you could always use pearls to put some accents on top, or just leave it. This little piece I have, it's the tufted embossing folder. I really like it. It looks kind of dainty and delicate, kind of royal a little bit. And because it is bumpy, you want to use lots of snail. Oh, I just about forgot an important layer here. I have some polka dotted tulle ribbon, which I am going to fold in half and place. We're getting angry here. Tried the crying bit, now we're moving up. So we're just going to lay this on the back and fold this piece around the front. And instead of gluing it, I'm going to actually take a piece of linen thread and tie them together. I think I'm going to just put a little glue dot there just to help hold that piece where it needs to go. It makes it easier for sure to tie. And I shouldn't have put all that glue on the back yet, but so it may stick to my paper, but there's tricks on how to get it off your paper. All right, so I'm just looping this around. I'm just going to tie a little knot. There we go. And of course you can trim these long threads off. You don't really need them. All right, back to what I was doing. So we have some snail tape on that tufted piece of Whisper White, and I'm just going to place that in the center. Okay, next I'm going to do the little label that goes on here, and I am going to choose this set. It's about bravery. So it's got the big word bravery, which I'm going to stamp in smoky slate. And I'll just be very subtle behind. I'm going to stamp something over top with a little bit darker. I like the color, the gray color with this peach petal pink color. And for the words over top, I'm going to use basic gray, which is a darker color. And let's see, just kind of place it towards the bottom. You have so much courage, strength, and bravery. So as you can see, it'll just sit over top there like that. So it's more subtle than black, but it has a little more, a little bit calm. Okay, where's my dimensionals? We're gonna pop that up. Ooh, you know, I've got some copper thread. let's use some copper thread here, just to add some interest to this label. So it's very, very, very fine. I'm just going to wrap it in my fingers over and over and over. That should be good. And I'm going to lay it down on top. Tuck that little edge in so we don't have a big flyaway. Oh, I need my glasses. Maybe this direction, no? There, let's just stick it down. And so it just adds a little touch of whimsy. Now I will put the dimensionals over top of that thread. That also helps to hold it down. Also helps to pop up the saying. And just a little bit over top of that ribbon and a little off-centered, I'm placing that there. Can you see that thread? It just adds a little element of something. And lastly, I'm going to place this little wood element, wood butterfly, onto the card. Now you could use glue dots, you could use liquid glue, but I am going to use snail because I just want to get her done quick. What do we think here? Up here, down here. Maybe we'll just go right there. And there we have it. So this vellum was the pattern vellum. What a nice way to create a card. The next card, our last card, I saved a beauty for the end. Let's get rid of some of these items so we have lots of room. This one's a stunner. Everybody liked this set for sure when we had the card class in Manitoba. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So here I use some Mambo melon with soft sea foam. And the way I use the vellum on here is that I ran it through an embossing folder and ran it through the Big Shot, and it made the vellum almost like material. It was really, it's pretty. You kind of have to almost feel it. It doesn't feel, it feels soft and pliable for sure. So that's how I did that one. This one is Blushing Bride and the soft sea foam, Today and Always, so I thought we could use that as a wedding card. And so today I'm going to use a different color altogether with that soft sea foam and make a different version. Oh my goodness, you guys. Grumbles. There's my card base, which is Whisper White. Now when I have classes, if you find a paper with the notch out of the corner, that means that it is kind of a scrap paper that you're going to be stamping on and cutting out, or yeah, just kind of a scrap that's not going to be exactly on your card. So first steps first, let's go with our soft sea foam. Now I'm Ukrainian and I like to get the best, value for my cards. So knowing that this layer is going to be tucked behind another one and you won't see the center, I cut out this little piece for our label for later. So that's why it has a big hole in it. It's okay. Nobody will see it. Let's just center this soft sea foam layer onto here. And then I'm going to put the Whisper White layer on top. And nobody will ever know. Okay, next up we have these beautiful pearlized doilies, and so I'm going to place that on top of this layer. I just use snail tape. You can use glue dots if you like, and kind of towards the top of your card. Next I'm going to put this piece of vellum down across the bottom. Once again, I'm going to kind of think about, okay, where's my label going to be? And that is where I'm going to put the most snail tape because then you won't see it. And if the other bits stick up, that's okay. Here, in fact, you could probably use a glue dot, and because it's kind of run through the Big Shot and has a pattern on it, you're probably not going to see much of it. There we go. So you can see all that blue there from the snail. So normally, of course, you don't want that. All right, for the saying, what was I going to use here? With sympathy, I was going to make a sympathy card, right? So I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. And stamp onto that label. It'll be just simple, very subtle, nothing too bright and bold for sympathy. Looks good. Next, we're going to put our lilies on our scrap piece of paper. So I'm just going to set this stuff aside so I don't accidentally ink it up. Also, when using polymer stamps, it's good to have a nice foam pad underneath. They sell these foam pads as well. Just gives it a little bit of extra give to it. I'm going to use Petal Pink this time, see what it looks like. So these are distinctive stamps, which they're called because they have so many layers in one stamp. It's really quite beautiful. All right, here we go. Just going to stamp my calla lily. Beautiful. See all the layers? So there's less here, there's more here. Oh, stunning. I like that color too. Next, I'm going to need 2 of the smaller versions. Good. And one more off to the side here. Good. Just cleaning that off on my Simply Chamois. Now let's add our stems. I'm going to use that same Pear Pizzazz. It's a little darker than the soft seafoam. So there's 2 stems. One goes on to the little version here. That's what's great about polymer. You can kind of line things up. You can see through exactly where it's going to be going. Good. And let's get that other one done. Oof. What you saying? Looks good. Clean it off. So we can use the other stamp. Now this one's got a bigger kind of place for the calla lily. Okay. So pretty. Definitely one of my favorite stamps. And this one is just a leaf. So since this is a scrap paper, we're just going to stick it wherever it fits. Let's see. We're going to be cutting these pieces out, so it doesn't really matter where things are placed, as long as they all fit. Okay, let's close this up, and I'm going to cut these out. So once again, I do the bubble cut, especially when it's onto a white card base. You really can't see, which makes it easier for sure. So yes, running the vellum through the big shot with embossing folders makes a neat pattern. It's getting hard to hold here since it's so big. Stems are easy. Zip, zip, zip down because they're nice and straight. Okay, back to this more challenging bit. It's not really that bad. The lines are pretty okay. There, one's done. Let's get the next one done. Let's do the harder section first. Get it over with. So are you a person who likes to send out stamps? Are you a card maker too? Do you like scrapbooking and doing other paper crafts? Origami? I always have a contest on my Facebook page of having everybody guess how many cards did you send out last month. And so for last month, the month of February, I sent out 46 cards in the mail. I like sending cards because it's such an easy way to brighten somebody's day. I mean, getting a little card in amongst the bills is always a treat. And it's like an instant smile maker, right? It just makes people feel cared about and thought about. That's such an inexpensive way to do that. So yes, the challenge. So February I sent out 46 cards, and so I have people guess, and so the person, and you can't go over, you can't guess over. So I did have somebody guess 47, but unfortunately that went over. So we went with 44. One poor soul guessed 128. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, she must have a lot of faith in me. Has much more faith in me than I have in myself, that's for sure. I think I would be broke from the postage. But it was a very kind thought. A few more corners. Of course, you could stamp it right onto your card. You wouldn't have to do the cutting. That's always a possibility. All right, it's time to layer this down here. All right, so I'm going to glue. Nope, oh yes, I did do this, which I thought made it look pretty neat. I only put dimensionals at the top of the flower and then snail at the bottom. So it kind of has like a pop-out effect a little bit. Let's glue this down. I'll put it a little bit sideways here. Now that's a little bit long. I don't want it to go too far past my label, so I'm just going to snip that off and tuck it down. Now another one. Ooh, let's stick it there. And some snail on the bottom. Once again, I'm trying to get the stems to line, trying to get the stems to kind of line up where that label's going to be, so they're not sticking out. And our last calla lily. Tuck it a little bit inside here. Let's have it go I want to tuck this leaf over top. Oh, I didn't take off my dimensional backs. May cause problems. It's not going to stick so well if I don't do that. So let's lift this leaf and tuck this one a little bit behind. Now this is going to be way too long, so let's trim that off. And our last layer is going to be the leaf, and that I'm just going to do straight to the card. And I want to try and make sure it stays inside the card. Otherwise it can be a little bit of a pain getting it into the envelope. Let's just trim this a little, make it a little narrower. There. Okay, our flowers are down. I love that color combination. Wow. Lastly, we're going to use dimensionals to place that label. When I first saw this petal pink color, I thought, doesn't do it for me. But as I use it more and more, I'm realizing how well it goes with so many colors. I really like it. Okay, with sympathy. So there's our little, now I put little diamonds, since I just had diamonds. Where'd I put them? Let's add a few diamonds. I would have preferred pearls, but we'll go with what we have here. Oops, I don't think I got the glue with that one. Nope. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. You always want to do odd numbers of things. It just looks better to the eye. And there's our last card using vellum. So that fun pattern run through the big shot adds a little fun dimension for sure. So I hope that you have learned a new technique today, how to use vellum in different ways. If you've enjoyed seeing this, any of these products that I used here today, and would like to get some for yourself, please contact me and I can help you with that. Otherwise, try this technique, check it out for yourself, play around with it, and let's see what you can come up with. All right, have a good day.